is the universe speaking to you. You are now tuned into the Modern Spiritual Life Coaching Podcast by the certified master life coach and spiritual guide, Coach Chip. Welcome, souls. We now begin this episode of a transformational journey. Unedited, unscripted, and creating something from nothingness. Now, let there be light on Modern Spiritual Life Coaching.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seat. The show is about to begin.
It's time to take a break. It's episode 122 on this Friday of a morning gratitude on the Modern Spiritual Podcast Live.
It's fun and easy to join the Modern Spiritual Podcast mailing list directly from your phone. Just send your email address by text message. Text the word Modern Spiritual to 22828 to get started. Try it now. Send your email address by text message. Text the word Modern Spiritual to 22828 to get started. Message and data rates may apply.
Now here's your host, Master Certified Alchemy Coach Chip, on the Modern Spiritual Podcast Live.
Well, a good morning gratitude to you on this Friday at the Modern Spiritual Podcast Live. It looks like a balmy day here. Early in the morning, we don't get to see the sunshine or rise in the morning and sunset due to all the California smoke being brought over here by the wind. And it's a large amount of smoke that you can see through the horizon. It's really bad because California is getting really burned down. And that means that the universe is telling us something, and people wake up and start listening to the universe, because that is the energy that creates worlds. There's no human that is more powerful than the divine. Coming up this half hour in this episode, we're going to do a sound healing meditation as well as a money and abundance affirmation, which is going to be really good. But before we get into all of that, we're going to finish off the last part of The Heavenly Life, part 9 and 10 by James Allen. And this one is going to be greatness and goodness. And the part 10 is going to be heart, heaven from a heart. Very interesting part that we're finishing up. And then later on, coming up next week, we'll have another series from a totally different author. But we'll see. But in the meantime, let's get into this, because this is going to be a very long and last of the series of The Heavenly Life, right here on the Modern Spiritual Podcast Live.
The Heavenly Life by James Allen. Chapter 9. Greatness and Goodness. Goodness, simplicity, greatness. These three are one, and this trinity of perfection cannot be separated. All greatness springs from goodness, and all goodness is profoundly simple. Without goodness, there is no greatness. Some men pass through the world as destructive forces, like the tornado or the avalanche, but they are not great. They are to greatness as the avalanche is to the mountain. The work of greatness is enduring and preservative, and not violent and destructive. The greatest souls are the most gentle. Greatness is never obtrusive. It works in silence, seeking no recognition. This is why it is not easily perceived and recognized. Like the mountain, it towers up in its vastness, so that those in its immediate vicinity who receive its shelter and shade do not see it. Its sublime grandeur is only beheld as they recede from it. The great man is not seen by his contemporaries. The majesty of his form is only outlined by its recession in time. This is the awe and enchantment of distance. Men occupy themselves with the small things, their houses, trees, lands. Few contemplate the mountain at whose base they live, and fewer still essay to explore it. But in the distance, these small things disappear, and then the solitary beauty of the mountain is perceived. Popularity, noisy obtrusiveness, and shallow show. These superficialities rapidly disappear and leave behind no enduring mark, whereas greatness slowly emerges from obscurity and endures forever. Jewish rabbi and rabble alike saw not the divine beauty of Jesus. They saw only an unlettered carpenter. All true genius is impersonal. It belongs not to the man through whom it is manifested. It belongs to all. It is a diffusion of pure truth, the light of heaven descending on all mankind. Every work of genius, in whatsoever department of art, is a symbolic manifestation of impersonal truth. It is universal and finds a response in every heart, in every age and race. Anything short of this is not genius, is not greatness. That work which defends a religion perishes. It is religion that lives. Theories about immortality fade away. Immortal man endures. Commentaries upon truth come to the dust. Truth alone remains. That only is true in art, which represents the true. That only is great in life, which is universally and eternally true. And the true is the good. The good is the true. Every immortal work springs from the eternal goodness in the human heart, and it is clothed with the sweet and unaffected simplicity of goodness. The greatest art is, like nature, artless. It knows no trick, no pose, no studied effort. The critics, not understanding the wise simplicity of greatness, always condemn the loftiest work. They cannot discriminate between the childish and the childlike. The true, the beautiful, the great is always childlike, and is perennially fresh and young. The great man is always the good man. He is always simple. He draws from, nay, lives in, the inexhaustible fountain of divine goodness within. He inhabits the heavenly places, communes with the vanished great ones, lives with the invisible. He is inspired, and breathes the airs of heaven. He who would be great, let him learn to be good. He will therefore become great by not seeking greatness. Aiming at greatness, a man arrives at nothingness. Aiming at nothingness, he arrives at greatness. The desire to be great is an indication of littleness, of personal vanity and obtrusiveness. The willingness to disappear from gaze, the utter absence of self-aggrandizement, is the witness of greatness. Littleness seeks and loves authority. Greatness is never authoritative, and it thereby becomes the authority to which the after ages appeal. He who seeks loses. He who is willing to lose wins all men. Be your simple self, your better self, your impersonal self, and lo, you are great. He who selfishly seeks authority shall succeed only in becoming a trembling apologist, courting protection behind the back of acknowledged greatness. He who will become the servant of all men, desiring no personal authority, shall live as a man, and shall be called great. Abide in the simple and noble regions of your life. Obey your heart, and you shall reproduce the foreworld again. Forget your own little self, and fall back upon the universal self, and you shall reproduce in living and enduring forms 1,000 beautiful experiences. You shall find within yourself that simple goodness which is greatness. It is as easy to be great as to be small, says Emerson, and he utters a profound truth. Forgetfulness of self is the whole of greatness, as it is the whole of goodness and happiness. In a fleeting moment of self-forgetfulness, the smallest soul becomes great. Extend that moment indefinitely, and there is a great soul, a great life. Cast away your personality, your petty cravings, vanities, and ambitions, as a worthless garment, and dwell in the loving, compassionate, selfless regions of your soul, and you are no longer small, you are great. Claiming personal authority, a man descends into littleness. Practicing goodness, a man ascends into greatness. The presumptuousness of the small may for a time obscure the humility of the great, but it is at last swallowed up by it, as the noisy river is lost in the calm ocean. The vulgarity of ignorance and the pride of learning must disappear. Their worthlessness is equal. They have no part in the soul of goodness. If you would do, you must be. You shall not mistake information for knowledge. You must know yourself as pure knowledge. You shall not confuse learning with wisdom. You must apprehend yourself as undefiled wisdom. Would you write a living book? You must first live. You shall draw around you the mystic garment of a manifold experience, and shall learn in enjoyment and suffering, gladness and sorrow, conquest and defeat, that which no book and no teacher can teach you. You shall learn of life, of your soul. You shall tread the lonely road, and shall become. You shall be. You shall then write your book, and it shall live. It shall be more than a book. Let your book first live in you, then shall you live in your book. Would you carve a statue that shall captivate the ages, or paint a picture that shall endure? You shall acquaint yourself with the divine beauty within you. You shall comprehend and adore the invisible beauty. You shall know the principles which are the soul of form. You shall perceive the matchless symmetry and faultless proportions of life, being, of the universe. Thus, knowing the eternal true, you shall carve or paint the indescribably beautiful. Would you produce an imperishable poem? You shall first live your poem. You shall think and act rhythmically. You shall find the never-failing source of inspiration in the loving places of the heart. Then shall immortal lines flow from you without effort, and as the flowers of wood and field spontaneously spring, so shall beautiful thoughts grow up in your heart, and enshrined in words as molds to their beauty, shall subdue the hearts of men. Would you compose such music as would gladden and uplift the world? You shall adjust your soul to the heavenly harmonies. You shall know that yourself, that life and the universe is music. You shall touch the chords of life. You shall know that music is everywhere, that it is the heart of being. Then shall you hear with your spiritual ear the deathless symphonies. Would you preach the living word? You shall forego yourself and become that word. You shall know one thing, that the human heart is good, is divine. You shall live on one thing, love. You shall love all, seeing no evil, thinking no evil, believing no evil. Then, though you speak but little, your every act shall be a power, your every word a precept. By your pure thought, your selfless deed, though it appear hidden, you shall preach down the ages to untold multitudes of aspiring souls. To him who chooses goodness, sacrificing all, is given that which is more than and includes all. He becomes the possessor of the best, communes with the highest, and enters the company of the great. The greatness that is flawless, rounded, and complete is above and beyond all art. It is perfect goodness in manifestation. Therefore, the greatest souls are always teachers.
That's the end of Part 9. Greatness Goodness. Now here's Part 10, Heaven in the Heart. The Heavenly Life on the Modern Spiritual Podcast.
The Heavenly Life by James Allen. Chapter 10. Heaven in the Heart. The toil of life ceases when the heart is pure. When the mind is harmonized with the divine law, the wheel of drudgery ceases to turn, and all work is transmuted into joyful activity. The pure-hearted are as the lilies of the field, which toil not, yet are fed and clothed from the abundant storehouse of the all-good. But the lily is not lethargic. It is ceaselessly active, drawing nourishment from the earth and air and sun. By the divine power immanent within it, it builds itself up cell by cell, opening itself to the light, growing and expanding towards the perfect flower. So is it with those who, having yielded up self-will, have learned to cooperate with the divine will. They grow in grace, goodness, and beauty, freed from anxiety, and without friction and toil. And they never work in vain. There is no waste action. Every thought, act, and thing done subserves the divine purpose and adds to the sum total of the world's happiness. Heaven is in the heart. They will look for it in vain who look for it elsewhere. In no outward place will the soul find heaven until it finds it within itself. For wherever the soul goes, its thoughts and desires will go with it. And howsoever beautiful may be its outward dwelling place, if there is sin within, there will be darkness and gloom without. For sin always casts a dark shadow over the pathway of the soul, the shadow of sorrow. This world is beautiful, transcendently and wonderfully beautiful. Its beauties and inspiring wonders cannot be numbered. Yet to the sin-sodden mind, it appears as a dark and joyless place. Where passion and self are, there is hell, and there are all the pains of hell. Where holiness and love are, there is heaven, and there are all the joys of heaven. Heaven is here. It is also everywhere. It is wherever there is a pure heart. The whole universe is abounding with joy, but the sin-bound heart can neither see, hear, nor partake of it. No one is or can be arbitrarily shut out of heaven. Each shuts himself out. Its golden gates are eternally ajar, but the selfish cannot find them. They mourn, yet see not. They cry, but hear not. Only to those who turn their eyes to heavenly things, their ears to heavenly sounds, are the happy portals of the kingdom revealed, and they enter and are glad. All life is gladness when the heart is right, when it is attuned to the sweet chords of holy love. Life is religion. Religion is life, and all is joy and gladness. The jarring notes of creeds and parties, the black shadows of sin, let them pass away forever. They cannot enter the door of life. They form no part of religion. Joy, music, beauty, these belong to the true order of things. They are of the texture of the universe. Of these is the divine garment of life woven. Pure religion is glad, not gloomy. It is light without darkness or shadow. Despondency, disappointment, grief, these are the reflex aspects of pleasurable excitement, self-seeking, and desire. Give up the latter, and the former will forever disappear. Then there remains the perfect bliss of heaven. Abounding and unallied happiness is man's true life. Perfect blessedness is his rightful portion, and when he loses his false life and finds the true, he enters into the full possession of his kingdom. The kingdom of heaven is man's home, and it is here and now. It is in his own heart, and he is not left without guides, if he wills to find it. All man's sorrows and sufferings are the result of his own self-elected estrangement from the divine source, the all-good, the Father, the heart of love. Let him return to his home. His peace awaits him. The heavenly-hearted are without sorrow and suffering because they are without sin. What the worldly-minded call troubles, they regard as pleasant tasks of love and wisdom. Troubles belong to hell. They do not enter heaven. This is so simple it should not appear strange. If you have a trouble, it is in your own mind, and nowhere else. You make it. It is not made for you. It is not in your task. It is not in that outward thing. You are its creator, and it derives its life from you only. Look upon all your difficulties as lessons to be learned, as aids to spiritual growth, and lo, they are difficulties no longer. This is one of the pathways up to heaven. To transmute everything into happiness and joy, this is supremely the work and duty of the heavenly-minded man. To reduce everything to wretchedness and deprivation is the process which the worldly-minded unconsciously pursue. To live in love is to work in joy. Love is the magic that transforms all things into power and beauty. It brings plenty out of poverty, power out of weakness, loveliness out of deformity, sweetness out of bitterness, light out of darkness, and produces all blissful conditions out of its own substantial but indefinable essence. He who loves can never want. The universe belongs to goodness, and it therefore belongs to the good man. It can be possessed by all, without stint or shrinking, for goodness and the abundance of goodness, material, mental, and spiritual abundance, is inexhaustible. Think lovingly, speak lovingly, act lovingly, and your every need shall be supplied. You shall not walk in desert places, and no danger shall overtake you. Love sees with faultless vision, judges true judgment, acts in wisdom. Look through the eyes of love, and you shall see everywhere the beautiful and true. Judge with the mind of love, and you shall err not, shall wake no wail of sorrow. Act in the spirit of love, and you shall strike undying harmonies upon the harp of life. Make no compromise with self. Cease not to strive until your whole being is swallowed up in love. To love all and always, this is the heaven of heavens. Let there be nothing within you that is not very beautiful and very gentle, and then will there be nothing without you that is not beautified and softened by the spell of your presence. All that you do, let it be done in calm wisdom, and not from desire, impulse, or opinion. This is the heavenly way of action. Purify your thought world until no stain is left, and you will ascend into heaven while living in the body. You will then see the things of the outward world clothed in all beautiful forms. Having found the divine beauty within ourselves, it springs to life in every outward thing. To the beautified soul, the world is beautiful. Undeveloped souls are merely unopened flowers. The perfect beauty lies concealed within, and will one day reveal itself to the full-orbed light of heaven. Seeing men thus, we stand where evil is not, and where the eye beholds only good. Herein lies peace and patience and beauty of love. It sees no evil. He who loves thus becomes the protector of all men. Though in their ignorance they should hate him, he shields and loves them. What gardener is so foolish as to condemn his flowers because they do not develop in a day? Learn to love, and you shall see in all souls, even those called degraded, the divine beauty, and shall know that it will not fail to come forth in its own season. This is one of the heavenly visions. It is out of this that gladness comes. Sin, sorrow, suffering. These are the dark gropings of the unopened soul for light. Open the petals of your soul and let the glorious light stream in. Every sinful soul is an unresolved harmony. It shall at last strike the perfect chord and swell the joyful melodies of heaven. Hell is the preparation for heaven, and out of the debris of its ruined hovels are built pleasant mansions wherein the perfected soul may dwell. Night is only a fleeting shadow which the world casts, and sorrow is but a transient shade cast by the self. Come out into the sunlight. Know this, O listener, that you are divine. You are not cut off from the divine except in your own unbelief. Rise up, O Son of God, and shake off the nightmare of sin which binds you. Accept your heritage, the kingdom of heaven. Drug your soul no longer with the poisons of false beliefs. You are not a worm of the dust, unless you choose to make yourself one. You are a divine, immortal, God-born being, and this you may know if you will to seek and find. Cling no longer to your impure and groveling thoughts, and you shall know that you are a radiant and celestial spirit, filled with all pure and lovable thoughts. Wretchedness and sin and sorrow are not your portion here, unless you accept them as such. And if you do this, they will be your portion hereafter, for these things are not apart from your soul condition. They will go wherever you go. They are only within you. Heaven, not hell, is your portion here and always. It only requires you to take that which belongs to you. You are the master, and you choose whom you will serve. You are the maker of your state, and your choice determines your condition. What you pray and ask for, with your mind and heart, not with your lips merely, this you receive. You are served as you serve. You are conditioned as you condition. You garner in your own. Heaven is yours. You have but to enter in and take possession. And heaven means supreme happiness, perfect blessedness. It leaves nothing to be desired, nothing to be grieved over. It is complete satisfaction, now and in this world. It is within you, and if you do not know this, it is because you persist in turning the back of your soul upon it. Turn round, and you shall behold it. Come and live in the sunshine of your being. Come out of the shadows and the dark places. You are framed for happiness. You are a child of heaven. Purity, wisdom, love, plenty, joy, and peace. These are the eternal realities of the kingdom, and they are yours. But you cannot possess them in sin. They have no part in the realm of darkness. They belong to the light which lighteth every man that cometh into the world, the light of spotless love. They are the heritage of the holy Christ child who shall come to birth in your soul when you are ready to divest yourself of all your impurities. They are your real self. But he whose soul has been safely delivered of the wonderful joy child does not forget the travail of the world.
That's the ending of Part 10. Heaven in the Heart of a Heavenly Life. This concludes this mini-series of A Heavenly Life. The Heavenly Life written by James Allen has been re-recorded by the Modern Spiritual Podcast Live. This is accredited to the public domain. On the Modern Spiritual Podcast Live, we ask for your moment of your thoughts about our programming. Please leave us your comments, likes, and follow us on our social media accounts to stay updated at modernspiritualpodcast.com. Tune in to Master Certified Alchemy Coach Chip on Saturday for the episode of A Power Half Hour starting 12 p.m. Arizona Mountain Time Zone, which is 3 p.m. Eastern Time. On the Modern Spiritual Podcast Live.
And there you have it with Heavenly Life Part 9 and 10, which is an excellent series. So if you haven't caught but only the end of it, go back into the archives and then go through it and take your time and listen to it and download it, because if you're not listening to it or heard the whole thing, you're missing out on a whole lot of wisdom. And this stuff, people ain't going to come up and tell you. And a lot of places that you go for events or things like that, they're going to come out and tell you bits and pieces of stuff, but not like this. And I will have another series sometime day after tomorrow, which will be, I'm looking for one now, and it's going to be on Monday. So it's going to be really interesting. These are going to be a regular part of the thing. But in the meantime, I'll be back tomorrow at 12 noon Mountain, Arizona time with the Power Half Hour. I'll have something interesting for you as well. We'll do a money affirmation to attract wealth and abundance right now. I know you're going to all love that. And then in the meantime, here it is on the Modern Spiritual Podcast Live.
Every day, I am attracting more and more money. Money is literally attracted to me. I like money. I love it. I receive and accept money with love and gratitude. My bank account is always growing. I'm getting used to the idea of being wealthy. I am a strong magnet to money. I am prosperous, healthy, and happy, right here, right now. I am worthy of being rich and deserve to be prosperous. I focus on my financial goals daily. I release all thoughts of lack and focus only on my dreams. I know my value, the value of my time and energy. I am firmly determined to achieve anything I want. With every day, I become stronger and richer. The more grateful I am, the more connected I am to the source of all wealth. I am passionate about increasing my fortune. I release all resistance to money and allow it to flow into my life. I picture abundance for myself and others. I can achieve anything I set my mind to. I experience gratitude for everything I have in my life. Every day, I am attracting more and more money. Money is literally attracted to me. I like money. I love it. I receive and accept money with love and gratitude. My bank account is always growing. I'm getting used to the idea of being wealthy. I am a strong magnet to money. I am prosperous, healthy, and happy right here, right now. I am worthy of being rich and deserve to be prosperous. I focus on my financial goals daily. I release all thoughts of lack and focus only on my dreams. I know my value, the value of my time and energy. I am firmly determined to achieve anything I want. With every day, I become stronger and richer. The more grateful I am, the more connected I am to the source of all wealth. I am passionate about increasing my fortune. I release all resistance to money and allow it to flow into my life. I picture abundance for myself and others. I can achieve anything I set my mind to. I experience gratitude for everything I have in my life.
Now it's fun and easy to join the Modern Spiritual Podcast mailing list directly from your phone. Just send your email address by text message. Text the word Modern Spiritual to 22828 to get started. Try it now. Send your email address by text message. Text the word Modern Spiritual to 22828 to get started. Message and data rates may apply.